Hi, welcome back to my kitchen. Have you ever heard of a dish called kibbeh or kubbi? Different dialects, same dish. And what it is basically is, or the most common, is the fried version. And we shape it into a shape of a little American football, and it's filled with lovely spices and onions and meat, and it's fried. And that is delicious. But today I'm going to be making the baked version. I'm going to start by making the filling. So I'm going to put in my olive oil. And then what I start with is the meat. So I'm using lamb. You could certainly use beef. Lamb is the meat of choice in the Arab world, and it would be traditionally made with lamb. And this is ground really, really fine. And I start first by frying my lamb. Okay, and the reason why I do that is because I want my lamb to benefit from getting nice and brown and caramelized. Now, what I like to do is I like to leave the meat untouched so that it develops a little coating. Okay, so I just leave it alone for a bit and just let it do its thing. It's on medium-high heat. All right, and I don't want to move it around. I want wait till the caramelization happens, and then I'll flip it over. So, as you can see, I haven't moved it, okay, because I'm waiting for the caramelization. And it also ensures that my meat is not going to stick. Okay, so with my spatula, I'm going to show you the nice brown. Okay, and that's what I'm after. I want my meat to become caramelized and sweet and flavorful. Okay, if I did it in a different way, like doing the onions first, it would create steam and water, okay, and eliminate the caramelization. So I'm going to let it caramelize on the other side, and then I'll start to break it up. At this point, I know that it's caramelized on both sides. Okay, this is when I can go with my spatula and break it up and just finish cooking the center, just moving it around. Turn the heat off, and then I have a bowl here ready. I'm actually going to remove the meat from the pan. I'm going to actually add just a little bit more olive oil, just a little. And then here, I have a copious amount of onions. Now, it looks like a lot. I may not use all of it, but I'm going to use a lot of onions, okay? So the onions are going to go in, and this is where I cook the onions, and I cook them separately. As I told you, the reason why is I don't want steam to be created before. So I've taken care of my meat, and now the onions, I'm going to saute them. And I'm not intending to brown the onions, okay? The whole point is just to turn them nice and soft and translucent. And I actually like to add a lot of onions because the onions add a lot of nice moisture to the filling. There's nothing worse than eating a kibbeh, whether it's fried or baked, and the filling is dry. I want it to remain nice and moist and delightful. There we go. And now I'm actually going to bring back my meat, okay? So the meat now can be incorporated with the onions. I can actually turn off the heat because everything is pretty much cooked. All right, just incorporate everything together. So the spices that I add are cinnamon, allspice, again about a half a teaspoon. All right, and of course, milih, or salt, that goes in. And filfil, pepper, that goes in too. All right, and I always like to add dry mint. With lamb, there's just nothing like it. Okay, this is mint that I dry at home. Okay, and just rub it and just let it fall in there. I'm going to add a sour taste. And this is actually sumac, okay? And that's that berry that grows on a tree, and it's very, very sour. People used to use it to replace lemon. This is pomegranate molasses. So this is also going to add a nice tart and sweet flavor to the meat. This is pine nuts that I've toasted. I'm not going to use all of them because I have a lot here. Now, if you don't have pine nuts, you could certainly use walnuts. You could use hazelnuts. You could use almonds, any nut. Or if you don't want nuts, just leave them out. That's the rule, okay? You can just leave them out. And then what I like to add in, and again, this is optional. I happen to have some pomegranates here, so to complement the pomegranate molasses that's in here, and when you bite into it, you get a nice little sweetness, okay, as well, and it also adds a nice color. So I just throw in a few fresh pomegranate seeds in there. The filling is ready, and I'm just going to allow it to cool completely before I assemble the kibbeh. Now I'm going old school here, and you can certainly opt out of this and just whiz it in a small food processor. That's fine too, or a blender, but I like to do it the old-fashioned way. So this essentially is going to be the flavor that's going to be the shell of the kibbeh. Okay, and I start first by putting, not all these onions, these are a lot of onions. I'm going to put in about that much, I would say about a quarter cup of onion. So that's cinnamon. This here is marjoram, okay, lovely spice, also gives it a nice flavor. Here I have some dry basil that goes inside as well. And I also have a little bit, I'm just going to break it with my finger here, a little bit of red chili. Now this is optional. You don't have to put this in, okay? If you want a little kick, which is what I want, I've put it in. I put half of one. Salt. And the salt is going to help create some friction so that I'm able to mash this really well. And then black pepper. Okay. And then the most important spice in this mixture is cumin, okay? And probably you're going to have a little bit more cumin than everything else, like a good teaspoon. I've got too much here. I'm not going to use all of it. And then I also like to add in some nice organic dry rose petals. And that's going to give it some nice flecks of flour going through the shell, and it also gives it a nice floral taste. Now don't worry, it's not going to taste of flowers, it's just a nice little accent. And then with this, I'm going to, actually, you pound this, okay? I'm going to pound it. And what you're trying to do is turn all this, okay? You just get a little closer. You're going to turn all this into a paste. Okay, so I'm going to pound away, take out all your frustrations. This is one way to do it, or get your kids to do it, or get somebody to do it for you while you do something else. So my paste is now thoroughly done, all right, and I will show you. This is what it looks like. And it's quite pungent, all the flavors with the onions, but there's still little flecks of onion. It's not totally mushy, okay? There's a little bit of texture in it. So the paste is here that we did with the pestle and mortar, that flavorful paste. It doesn't look appetizing, but it's going to actually flavor our meat. Okay, here I have some hot water, and I'm going to pour it on top of this cracked wheat or burghul, okay? Now this is the brown kind. You could use the white kind, but I like the brown because it mixes with the meat. So I'm just going to add enough water to cover it, just that much, okay? It's not going to take very long for the cracked wheat to soak it all up, okay? And remember, cracked wheat, burghul, is already pre-cooked. It's been pre-cooked, dried, and cracked to make it very, very fine. So this doesn't require any cooking. So I'm just waiting for it to rehydrate. And then here is my meat. Now this is also lamb that has been ground really, really, really fine, okay? Really like a paste. And I'm going to place it here so that I have more room. So this meat goes inside. And then I'm going to start by adding not all of the paste, the flavor paste. I'm going to start by adding half, okay? Just half. And just mix it in. Now in a minute, I'm going to start using my hands to incorporate. In a matter of 2 minutes, it's already rehydrated. There isn't any excess water, and I'm not going to squeeze the water out of it, what's in it. I'm actually going to use it to my advantage. I'm not going to put all of the burghul in yet. I may not use all of it. Okay, so I'm going to start first by adding half, and then just with my hands, I'm going to incorporate the burghul with the meat just this way so that it actually becomes one paste all at once, just by feeling it and just by looking at the color that it needs a little bit more paste. Remember, we're dealing with bland meat and bland burghul, so that's why it needs to be quite pungent. Okay, and then when it's added here, everything is going to even itself out basically. And it's okay if it's a little warm. Remember, this is going to actually cook in the oven now. It's going to bake, and really it's just the shell that needs to cook, nothing more. All right, do you see how everything has become one? So here is my meat that we prepared, and here is the filling that is totally cooled and ready to go. All right, here I have myself just a bowl of cold water, and you'll see later on that's just to help smooth things out. Okay, so I have everything ready. I'm going to make it in this cute little pan. This goes right in the oven, this cast iron pan. And I start first by putting some olive oil to coat the pan. Okay. Okay, so olive oil has coated the pan thoroughly. All right, then I'm going to dip my hands in water just so that it doesn't stick to my hands. And I'm going to grab some of this mixture, and I'm going to start flattening it, starting from the side and working my way. Okay, and what you want to do is you want to create a little bit of a border. Okay, a little bit of a border. Think of it like you're making a pie. Okay, so this is a kind of a pie, and that's as far as I can go with that. And then of course I add a little bit more. I don't need that much. Okay, and this is like paste. It's just like putting a puzzle together. It's not an exact science. You just keep on moving, and it's okay if the olive oil moves around and comes on top of the meat. All that means is that beautiful olive oil flavor is going to be inside, infusing the meat as well. So that's okay. Now I go to my filling. And remember, this is totally cold. And what I did as well, as soon as it was cold, with my fingers, I just broke up the meat. Okay, just like that. All right, so that I get a nice even distribution. Okay, so I'm basically making a meat pie. I think that's fair to call this a meat pie. All right, so I'm going to dip my hands in the water again. I'm going to actually use my hands to flatten it in my hands. Okay, so I'm trying to, because if I started to put the paste on top of this, the pressure is going to ruin what I've just done. So I start by flattening it in my hands. Okay, and you're trying to get it as thin as possible. This is the way I like it. I don't like the kibbeh to have a very, very thick crust. Okay, so as thin as you can, and just start by placing it on top, starting from one corner. And again, this paste is very forgiving. You can always patch things up. Okay, so I'm going to grab another piece. So you're trying to coat that filling completely. Okay, and wherever there are little holes, we just patch it up, smooth it out with a little bit of water just to make it all nice and even. As you can see, you can do any pattern you like. Okay, so I'm just going to start in the middle, and I'm not cutting all the way. I'm just really scoring the surface. I'm just going to make straight lines, and of course you can forego this, but it's just really for aesthetic. It looks nice. And it also adds to the texture after it's baked. You get little crispy bits on the top, and it's really nice. So what I do also with my knife, I just go around the perimeter and just create a little bit of a space, okay? And now my oven is on at 350 degrees, ready, okay? And I'm going to bake this. Before I put it in the oven, I'm going to give it a nice, generous few glugs of beautiful olive oil, okay? And now this is ready to go into the oven and bake. Kibbeh actually is always eaten and enjoyed with our beautiful salad of yogurt and cucumbers. And this is what I'm going to make now. I'm going to show you how simple it is. I've got my teeny weeny little pestle and mortar out now, and all I have here is half a clove of garlic. I'm just going to add a little bit of salt, okay, and again that gives it the friction so that you're able to pound this to a paste. And the cucumbers, what I do is I slice them in half exactly like this, and I also like to eliminate the seeds that are in here because the seeds are just water and I don't want my salad to be very watery, okay? So just with a spoon I scrape out the seeds and eliminate that excess water. With a nice sharp knife I'm just going to slice them, okay, and you get these nice little half moon shapes. So cucumber is ready. And now here what I've also done is I've taken radish and I've sliced it on a mandolin and just chopped it really fine. So I'm actually going to combine cucumbers and radish for a different crunch, okay? You can just leave it as cucumber on its own, but this is just something a little different. So in my little bowl here, I'm going to take my yogurt, okay? And this is just plain full-fat yogurt, okay? And this is actually yogurt that I make at home. It's fresh, but you can find some good quality ones that you can buy at the store as well. And then I'm going to take the half a clove of garlic that I mashed and I'm going to add it. So I'm going to add in my cucumber. Okay, so all my radishes go in. That's about 3 radishes in there. And then I also like to bump it up with some citrus. So this is just the zest of lemon. Okay, and that's voila, that is my salad. It is ready to go. So you've got some nice green, flecks of red, and a nice creamy yogurt. And remember, this is not cream, this is yogurt, so this is good for you. So the best part has arrived, and our kibbeh is fully cooked, okay, completely. It is there, and I've allowed it to sit and just rest for a little while. My salad is ready with my cucumbers, and the one thing that I added on top was a little bit of dry mint as well. That really accentuates the taste. So I'm going to dig in. And what I'm going to do actually is I'm just going to cut it into 4 equal pieces, okay? Like I said, this recipe makes 2 of these pans. So you could cook one and actually you could freeze the other. So I just want you to see what it looks like. You see how nice that is and how thin the shell is. And that is exactly the way I like it. Okay, so that is my piece, and I'm going to serve myself a little bit of this salad that goes with it. There's just nothing quite like that. Here we go. So I'm going to cut right into it here, and you see the filling is there. This is nice and thin. If you can try to imagine the best meatloaf you've ever had in your life, this is what it's like exactly. This is our version of a meatloaf, a flat one. And the meat is well seasoned. The outer shell that has the burghul, of course, is seasoned beautifully. You can taste every element of this in every bite. It balances it beautifully because it's got a nice creamy, tangy, and then of course the meat is nice and earthy. And you've got the sweet and sour going on. This is the way I love to make kibbeh, especially when I don't feel like doing the other one that's a little bit more labor intensive, the one where you actually make it into individual footballs, like I said to you at the very beginning, and you fry it. So this is a nice way of making kibbeh. It's the same taste. Everything that would be in that kibbeh is in this one. I hope that you have seen through the steps that I've shown you just how simple this is to make and how nourishing and lovely. And this is so good, not just hot on the day that you make it, but also cold. So if it sits in the fridge the next day as a leftover. So I hope you give this a try, and let me know in the comments what you think, and share with me if you have made it, and share with me the pictures. It really makes me happy to see that you've given this a go. So until next time, enjoy your kibbeh, and we'll see you later. Bye.